Who is this guy? Why was he cast in bronze? This man with the leather puttees, the wax mustache, and the glassed eye. His name is Penrose. Spencer Penrose.
Oh, Spencer Penrose. Yes, I remember Spencer Penrose only seeing him once, so. He was on the Gold Camp Road on horseback.
My boss is abrupt and impatient. Most magazine editors are. All the old guy said was, go to the big mountain and dig up the story of the first Pikes Peak hill climb and the man who started it, this guy Penrose. This much I know about Penrose. He came to this mountain on horseback almost 100 years ago, even before cars and planes and sliced bread. And here, 50 years after he left this life, the signs of his presence are everywhere. He built a world-class resort. There's Penrose Library, Penrose Hospital, Penrose Stadium, and a remarkable zoo. Downtown, Don Laurie and his friends still talk about him.
He got a lot of stuff started. In fact, he just seemed to have a knack to know what to do and how to do things.
To their Tut, he was a boyhood hero.
He was a genius in the mining field. Great, big, blustery fellow. I remember him so well as a boy.
But how did it all start?
If you really want to know where it all started, go to Cripple Creek.
It's called the Cripple Creek District. Rusty tipples, tailings of 1,000 mine shafts. The ghosts of lost dreams are everywhere. Most dreams were shattered, but a few dreams were realized beyond imagining. Sometimes you almost feel like you're being watched. Like the eyes of a time that is gone forever. It's hard to imagine these ruins, once the second largest city of Colorado. Their ancestors, never seeing the light of day, used to haul ore carts and mine shafts thousands of feet underground. An untapped mountain frontier, manifest destiny, gold for the taking. Those must have been powerful lures for this young adventurer at the turn of the century. But if you want to know what it was really like, you might talk with Francis Gunn.
Well, In the early days, there was lots of excitement here. There was all kinds. 4th of July was a big celebration. And it was just a carnival crowd that would come with the 3 railroads here for 25, 50 cents. People came from Denver, Pueblo, Colorado Springs, all in a holiday mood here, and the streets would be packed.
Some old-timers remember the good old days as golden, but Joe Vanderwalker has a different slant.
If you want to say you want to go back to the good old times, I'll let you do it. It might be nice to reminisce once in a while, but I wouldn't want to go back and go through the same thing I went through.
Yeah.
It was Joe's suggestion to go down in the mine, to see what mining for gold was like 100 years ago.
Ron?
Hi, Anthony.
How you doing?
Good.
Good to see you.
A 3-minute ride to the 3rd level, as deep underground as the Empire State Building is high, and just as black as pitch.
Watch your steps. You step off there. Step over
Ron
that
Pittman
sign.
is a part-time miner and a part-time tour guide, and he knows how it used to be.
The first thing we're going to do is walk down this crosscut. Now, see, crosscuts are just haulage tunnels from the shafts to the headings.
We're in a tunnel
This is
blasted
black
out of
diamond
solid rock,
construction here. This is
a
where
tunnel
the
that runs for
crosscut
miles
is
in every
all
direction,
together down here underground.
drilled by hand and blasted by miners back when Teddy Roosevelt was president of the United States.
Before they shut it down in 1961.
And the Penrose fortune started in a mine like this, a little mine called the COD. Up above again in Poverty Gulch, where local historian Marshall Sprague points out the site of the Penrose mine.
Right up there, and it was just the luckiest fluke you ever knew. They didn't know whether it was going to produce anything at all. It was just a great gambling. This whole Cripple Creek district was that way. Everybody that flocked here from all over the world when these strikes were made, they would come up and say, well, maybe I'll hit it. And of course, they did. Many of them did.
Well, the COD mine was sold to a bunch of Frenchmen. And then they didn't know how to mine it, so they bought it back for almost nothing and then resold it for a lot more money than that.
Marsh suggests a photo search in the museum. And there he is, fresh out of Harvard. The shrewdness in the eyes. With his partner, Charlie Tutt. And there he is again in the mining exchange. And a study of the pictures gives an insight into what made this man exceptional. He must have been an American original. What in those days was called a go-getter. His medium was gold. He parlayed the proceeds from the sale of the COD, built a huge mill, making him a millionaire many times over. Now, free to travel the world, he married the lovely Julie. He visited the great wonders and resorts of Europe. And in doing so, he forged his own vision of a world-class resort in the Rockies, the dream that was eventually to become the Broadmoor Hotel. But how to focus attention on his beloved Pikes Peak region? How could he promote it? Then in 1914, front page news. A chap named August Horsch, driving a 4-cylinder car of his own design, won the Austrian International Hill Climb. And suddenly, world attention was focused on a new driving sport, the Alpine Rally. Why? For speed, for thrills, for glory, and to improve the breed. It was Horsch who founded the automobile works that would grow up to become Audi. Horsch called the winning car the Annalisa, and she's with us yet, resplendent in a museum in Germany. The excitement of the mountain race must have sparked the idea. A race to the summit of America's famous Pikes Peak, Don Lowry was a very young man in those early days. Don, what we've got here is a newspaper account of the very first Pikes Peak hill climb. How old were you at that time?
I was 16. Well, of course, I didn't have that kind
And
of
Don
foresight.
remembers
I
how
didn't
Penrose
think about
participated.
it. They made, what was the name of it? Broadmoor Yellow Devil, I think they called it. They took one of his Pierce Arrows and rebuilt it and made a race car out of it. And he was in some of the races himself. I don't mean he drove, but he had this car in there. The Broadmoor Yellow Devil, I think they called it.
And that's how the Pikes Peak hill climb came to be. That first race day, Penrose greeted Barney Oldfield, and Barney was greeted by a summer snowstorm. They called it the Race to the Clouds, a 12-mile run into rarefied air above 14,000 feet. Every hairpin turn on the edge of a precipice. No guardrails. This year, the Predator Pikes Peak hill climb.
Well, it's the most famous mountain probably in the United States, and the race up the most famous mountain has to be a national attraction. Originally, all we had were the race cars. And now the race has developed into stock cars, and I think it's more solid.
Enthusiasts gather to watch the fine-tuning and practice runs for tomorrow's time trials. The race is now an international event. That would have brought smiles to August Horsch and Spencer Penrose. The Audi team is from West Germany, and their chief speaks about his car's performance. The car is doing so well in the qualifying run. Why is the car running so well?
We have learned last year a lot, and that's why the car is running well.
They sent one of their engine specialists over with some equipment.
Champion rally driver John Buffum is Audi team coach.
One of the biggest things, of course, is the fact that it's so high in altitude here that it takes some special tuning, and they've got it fine-tuned very well now. Racing and rallying improves the breed, improves the street car. That knowledge gets put into a street car.
We have so many experience from the production cars. That's, I think, the reason the car is going so well.
Technology advances so fast, and it's done the same thing in rallying 3 or 4 years ago. With Audi at the point, so to speak, they were the ones that said, hey, there's been four-wheel drive before, but they've never been able to make four-wheel drive and have a car handle. And so therefore it wasn't any good to go around the corner. And Audi said, we can handle that. And they made a car that revolutionized rallying in a year. The Audi four-wheel drive is very, very important, because when you have a lot of horsepower, you need to get the horsepower to the ground. And you'll see as the open-wheel cars and even the stock cars, when they start, they spin their wheels furiously. And this is very exciting, but it doesn't get you to the top as fast. Getting the power earlier, in other words, at lower RPMs, that was a sort of a revelation, let's say. That was something very different. Normally, the turbo has to be spinning and the engine has to be running at 4,500 RPMs to have any power at all. But with that, you're down about 3,000, you're starting to get some power. It certainly is a big help, because coming out of a slow corner, a lot of times you're down a bit in the RPMs. And this gives you instant power even at low RPMs.
Race day. The crowd arriving early in a scramble for a good place to watch. Overnight campers mixed with picnickers and backpackers.
It's okay.
Yeah. It must be about a half an hour, I think, for you.
Yeah.
25 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
A family celebration reaching across the generations, including the renowned Unser family. If you could describe this event in one word, what would that be?
As a treacherous drive, treacherous.
I would describe it as magnificent.
Terrific,
exciting.
Squirrely right now.
Fantastic.
Oh, my son enjoys race cars, and we decided to come up and take a look at them today.
Passing unnoticed among the crowd, a world-class rally driver, Michelle Mouton. In 1982, the first woman ever to win a world championship auto rally.
She's a woman driver, and that's kind of good for like little kids. Or she's like our idol or something.
How would you rate her compared with some other drivers you've worked with?
I think she's the best woman driver ever we have had.
I think she's really neat, and I think she's pretty brave to go against all these guys and stuff.
She is one of the best 5 rally drivers in the world.
I think it's only for guys, but I think she's good that she's doing that. I don't know.
The most versatile and best drivers in the world are rally drivers.
We're getting close to race time. How do you feel as the start time approaches?
I don't feel at all.
In my mind, we have to win.
The only problem we have now is just to try to make no mistake from the start to the top, you know. This is the only problem I have. Try to be perfect.
That everybody came to see, it seems, Michelle Mouton. Again, she came through Glen Cove at 95 miles an hour in that four-wheel drive Audi Sport Quattro. Her qualifying record, of course, that isn't exactly what it was.
I like to fight against myself. I like to push my limit all the time, and I like the speed. I like the feeling when you are in the car and you are able to move and to, you know, you are always sliding one side, the other side. It's like a ballet, it's like a dance, you know, it's fantastic. The speed and the control you can have with a high speed when you don't do any mistake, because on gravel it's very easy to slide too much, and you have just to control the right limit, not too fast, no, not too slow. It's really difficult, but when you do it perfectly, it's really a fantastic feeling.
Let's take her up to 16 mile right now. At 16 mile is the top part of the W. Here she comes for 16 mile. Let's get time on Michelle Mouton. And she is moving. This young lady knows the miles an hour, Michelle Mouton. And that Audi Sport Quattro, the quickest time I have seen at 16 mile in my 2 years of reporting. And she's on her way, and gentlemen, you have got something hot coming your way to the summit of Pikes Peak. Let's go now to John Eves and Pat Patterson. All right, Pat Patterson standing by with Bobby Unser Jr. Surprise, surprise, Bobby.
It's a record, 11:25:39, an all-time record for any class. Michelle Mouton in her Audi Sport Quattro.
Just think about it. A French woman driving a German car and winning the American race to the clouds. Wouldn't Mr. Penrose got a kick out of that?